Did you hear about this sculptor who... I don't know how it works. He somehow had his farm or something, his property. He declared the top 6 inches of soil legally to be a work of art. So that he's got different protections against oil companies or something. Let's go to this article from this.org. This.org.
He could probably collect rainwater and everything. He could do anything he wants to.
So this is by Amy Fung. Yeah, that's a tremendous point. Thank you.
It is.
An Alberta sculptor fights oil companies to exhibit art on his own land. As you walk through Peter von Tiesenhausen's land, artwork emerges as if summoned from the ground up. Ships and nests made of willow branches appear along well-torn paths. Statues carved from logs stand watch from between the trees. In Tiesenhausen's studio, small canvases that resemble the cracked earth of recent droughts are propped across the windowsill, and sketches of aspen trees drawn with aspen ash onto aspen pulp paper hang along the wall. Philosophically and aesthetically, it's clear that the landscape and the art are inseparable, and since 1997, the Alberta visual artist has pursued this argument legally as well. So I didn't realize that. He's actually built a lot of fucking artistic shit on his land.
So he's not just using a loophole, he's actually using the land for the art.
Yeah. But I don't know. Let's see how it started. Tiesenhausen made the decision. So I think it does relate. He made the decision after years of legal battles with oil and gas companies that wanted access to the deposits of natural gas that sit just beneath his 800-acre plot of land. Under federal law, Alberta landowners have the rights only to the surface of their land. The riches that lie beneath are generally owned by the government. Well, of course. Hey. Well, why not? Government, after all,
and the government sells them off to these companies, Chinese companies.
Without the government, we wouldn't have the mantle or the core of the earth, right? They fucking maintain that shit. Of course they own it.
So how did Beverly Hillbillies, how did he get all that money for that shit?
It's probably a shitty TV show that made no sense.
Okay.
So the riches that lie beneath are generally owned by the government, which can grant oil and gas producers access so long as the companies agree to compensate landowners. The compensation is usually for lost harvests and inconvenience, but Tiesenhausen reasoned, what if instead of a field of crops, these companies were destroying the life's work of an acclaimed visual artist? Wouldn't the compensation have to be exponentially higher? Oh, okay. So you see what he did here. I'm not trying to get money for my land. I'm just trying to relate to these companies on their level. Slick. I like this guy. Once I started charging $500 an hour for oil companies to come talk to me, the meetings got shorter and fewer and far between. Tiesenhausen is in a unique position to understand both the realities of industry and the value of the natural world. As a young boy working on the family ranch, his daily job of surveying the cattle left him with an intimate understanding of the family's land. He left school at 17 to work in the oil fields and eventually found himself in the Yukon in the early 80s, digging away at the surface gold mines. Before he committed to being a full-time artist in 1990, he worked crushing boulders in Antarctica. What? This guy had a job crushing boulders in Antarctica.
Quite the fella.
The worst fucking job I've ever heard of, I think. While building an airstrip through the permafrost. It's the worst job I've ever heard of, except for being a cook for raw sushi. That guy was. Today, Tiesenhausen is an artist, an active member of his community, and a somewhat reluctant environmental icon. I'm just a guy that likes to have an exciting life, he says earnestly. I went to the gold fields, worked in Antarctica, but what I found was that staying at home and making art was the most exciting my life ever got. Yeah, I could relate to that, I guess. He presented his copyright argument before the Alberta Energy and Utilities Board, which told him that copyright law was beyond its jurisdiction, and he would need to pursue that in the courts. So far, that hasn't been necessary. The oil and gas companies have since backed off, even paying for an expensive rerouting of pipelines, and have yet to bother testing his copyright. Pretty sweet. So there's fucking Tiesenhausen. Where is he? Peter von Tiesenhausen.
Is he German?
Yeah, I don't care. Probably. So I don't know. That's what do you think about that motherfucker?
I don't know. Why wouldn't he just say, set a pump up over there, give me $1 million, and pipe it out, across the street or something. Like, you don't need much room to fucking, you know what I'm saying?
I think he was trying to make a point.
Yeah, I think he just...
Fuck a point. Give me $1 million. Don't touch this little area that I like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because everyone can be bought eventually.
I think he's just He's trying to. I think he's got everything he needs, and he's just trying to stop the fucking the goose stepping of
probably got nothing
oil
better to
companies
do.
across his area. Yeah, I mean, nothing better to do. It sounds like he's living a good life. I mean, I think he's got everything he wants, right?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
You know, dirt art and shit, whatever, sure.
Yeah.
Tree art and tree sap art, sure, whatever.
Yeah. Dirt
That's
art.
all anybody ever needs.
That's what he likes.